Is it possible to beat Super Mario Bros. Using only your face? No, not like that. I'm talking about using a webcam and moving your face only. This is a story of me trying to make that happen. You might be wondering why Super Mario Bros. And why your face? It's because I want to picture Mario sitting his juicy dumper right on my... No, it's actually because when I was younger, both of my older brothers needed braces for their teeth, and the orthodontist that they went to had an NES hooked up to an old TV in their waiting room that had Super Mario Bros. On it. So while they were in the back getting worked on, I would play Mario and beat some levels. And I was like 7 years old, which means it's really not that difficult of a game. So now it's my job to make the game harder to play. I broke my objective down into 3 simple steps. Step 1, learn how to code. Step 2, write the code that lets me play the game. Step 3, beat the game. Should be a piece of cake. To start, I have little to no knowledge in coding, so I did some research. And after scouring the internet, I was able to find one person who had a similar idea to play a different game. They had done some coding that uses a face cam to track their eye, and set it up so that every time they blink, a button of their choosing on their keyboard is pressed. So I used that as a starting template. But I have a problem. Blinking is just one single variable, and on an NES controller there are 8 total buttons. For what I'm planning to do, I think I can get away with using just 6 of those inputs. So I did some brainstorming, and this is what I came up with. I wanted my commands to be fairly intuitive, so my thought was, tilting your head to the right makes you go right, and same with left. To go up, look up. To go down, look down. To press the A button, blink. To press start, widen your eyes. Originally, I was planning to set it up so that if I actually turned my whole head to one side, then I would go that way, but if you do that, you can't see the game anymore, so that's why I did the head tilting. So anyways, I texted all these command ideas to my brother, and he had a good question. What if you blink involuntarily? Well, it's time to train myself not to.
I think I'm getting better at this.
Now that my eyes can withstand anything, it's time to give this a shot. Except that I have a great idea, but no code to actually make it happen. I was able to modify the code tracking blinking to also track your eyes for widening without too much difficulty. But for me, the more challenging part was coming up with a way to register my directional movements. After a couple days of trying things out, this is ultimately what I came up with. One of the libraries that I'm using tracks your face utilizing a grid system with a few hundred data points on it. By tracking a point on each of my cheeks, no, not those cheeks. Yes, these points here. Along with a point centered on my forehead, and 4 points on the sides of my face. I was able to set up a code that tracks these points' locations relative to one another, and I put in place parameters that would press controller inputs based on those locations. Okay, now that I've got my code ready to go, let's see how it actually works when I use it. Okay, it's running. Okay. If I widen my eyes, it should start here. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Jump works just good. Okay. Oh, but he's not moving. Okay, so I went back in and I redid some stuff. I think I figured out what was going wrong. Oh, come on. What the f? I really think I fixed it this time. So, okay, let's give it a shot. Okay. There we go. Now that my face controller was up and running, I was ready to test out the functionality of the controls that I had created. Oh yeah, look at that. And while it was pretty good in general, there were a few difficulties that I was running into right out of the gate. Okay, the start button is kinda glitched. Oh, no. Okay. I'm not pressing start! I'm not pressing start. Oh my god. No. So pretty obviously I had some tweaks to make to my controls. The first thing that I did was update the start button. Instead of widening my eyes, I changed it so that start would be pressed only when I turned my head fully to one side. And while I was making adjustments, I decided to update jumping. While blinking was working a lot of the time, if I moved my head around, sometimes the blinks wouldn't register or would release before I wanted them to. So instead, I replaced it with turning my head up. Previously, turning my head up was used for pressing up on the D-pad, but as I was playing I realized I didn't actually need that button. The last thing that I decided was that although I didn't need it, it would be really helpful to have the option to shoot fireballs after collecting a fire flower. This is controlled in the game by pressing the B button. So I routed this to blinking because I didn't need it to be nearly as precise as something like jumping or walking. With my polished new batch of controls, I booted back into the game. There was nothing that could stop me now. Come on, okay. I can still do this, I want to beat this first level. Well, except that I still kind of sucked at the game. After 2 hours of playing, I had gotten quite a bit better, but the furthest that I had made it was still just deep into level 1-2. No, I was there! This game has 8 worlds and 4 levels in each of those worlds. This means I had played around 6% of the entire game. And these were some of the easiest levels this game has to offer.
That was easy.
It was clear that if I didn't want to waste my life trying to complete this challenge, I would have to do some research on the easiest way to beat the game. So I delved into the world of Super Mario speedrunning, and what I found would change the challenge entirely. The world record for beating the game is less than 5 minutes. The way this is possible is by using hidden warp zones placed sporadically throughout the game. These warp zones allow you to skip not only levels, but entire worlds. The first warp zone to be utilized comes at the end of level 1-2. Instead of finishing the level normally by going through this pipe right here, and then grabbing the end of level pole, you can actually ride one of these elevating platforms up and jump off like this. Then run to the right and you'll see the series of warp zone pipes. At this area, the fastest path is to take the World 4 pipe. This sends us straight to level 4-1, allowing us to skip a total of 10 levels. Then we need to beat level 4-1 normally, and go to level 4-2. Part of the way through this level, you'll find that there are a group of hidden coin blocks that you can jump to hit. Once they become visible, you can jump on them and get yourself oriented to jump and hit this block right here, which will in turn grow a vine that you can climb up to another hidden area. At the end of this short area, you'll see another group of warp zone pipes. One of them sends you straight to level 8-1 in World 8. This allows you to skip 14 more levels. From here, you just have to beat the game normally, going through the last 4 levels on your own. But all in all, this game contains 32 levels, and you're able to skip 24 of them, leaving only 8 levels that you actually have to beat. The more that I played, the better I was getting at using the new controls. And pretty quickly, I got to the point where I could almost always make it to level 1-2 without losing a life. And then shortly after, I started consistently making it to the end of level platform jumps that come just before the first warp zone. These back-to-back jumps onto moving platforms were constantly causing me to lose lives. No. It usually was either due to running off the platforms while trying to land, or messing up the timing when jumping. No! Oh! But no wall was too tall for me to climb, and I eventually landed my jumps. No! Oh! And headed to the first warp zone. Let's go! This would be my first crack at level 4-1. Come on, I can get there. Come on. Or so I thought. Oh my god, this is the hardest part. Come on! No! I choked at the 1 yard line. You've got to be kidding! What a joke! But my run wasn't completely dead yet because I still had more lives and was only sent back to the mid-level checkpoint. Even in my deflated state, I was still able to navigate my way back to the warp zone again and successfully get to level 4-1, which is where I met, by far, my biggest challenge yet. In 4-1, there are almost no Goombas or Koopa Troopas spawned into the map. There are very few gaps to fall into. In theory, this should be a walk in the park, right? No, this level is significantly harder than any of the previous levels I had faced. All because of one stupid little flying turtle. For the entirety of level 4-1, Lakitu follows you around throwing spinies down from his cloud. Over and over and over. So you can't just stay put and kill them with fireballs because they'll never stop raining down on you. So you really have to keep moving through the level. And for me, my precision and mobility was still not great. But all I could do was give it my best. Oh, jeez. Oh, alright. Well, this is gonna be difficult. Alright. 7 seconds. I died 7 seconds into the level. And some people would consider that a long time. I'm sure there's tens, if not dozens of people. Now, I didn't let myself get too concerned as this was the first attempt at this level, but over the next week I had numerous runs make it back to level 4-1, and unfortunately they ultimately met the same demise. And by this point, not only were my in-game abilities proving to be challenging, but my neck was getting really sore from all of the head tilting I was doing. My neck hurts so bad. This was causing me to take lots of breaks, limiting the number of runs I was able to attempt. So I did some brainstorming, and after some thought and icing my neck, I decided to add one more rule to my challenge, using save states. To this point in the challenge, every time I had gotten a game over, I would start back at the beginning of the game, at level 1-1. But with each restart, almost every time I was beating the first couple of levels without much actual challenge. The only thing it was doing was tiring my neck out. So, for the well-being of my neck, I made a new rule that I would be allowed to use save states within the game, with one key stipulation. I would only be allowed to save after completing a full level. That way I couldn't just piecemeal my way through levels. In adding this stipulation, I felt that I was being true to the essence of the challenge, and that I would still have to beat each level in its entirety in a single go. So, with a full head of steam and a neck rejuvenated, I got straight back to work. And after implementing this new rule, I started getting better rapidly. Every new run, I was learning from each wrong step, turn, or jump at an accelerated rate. And soon enough, I had a breakthrough run. I outran Lakitu for almost the entirety of the level, and didn't miss a single jump. I promptly grabbed the end of level pole and headed to 4-2.
Let's go! Oh, man. Woo!
Luckily, the hardest part of this level is the very first jump that you have to make. You need to jump and land on this small section of ground, and then quickly long jump off of it to safety by holding the B button, which for me is blinking, while jumping. So, for me, I have to first jump, then close my eyes, then make the second jump while keeping my eyes closed. This might sound easy, but it was actually pretty difficult as my coding was only somewhat effective at registering that my eyes were closed. But eventually, after enough tries, I successfully landed my jumps. I raced ahead and made it to the area where I would need to climb the vine towards the warp zone, and with enough micro movements, got all set up and activated the vine. But why wasn't I climbing?
Go up! Why don't you go up? How do I go up?
Well, remember earlier when I said I didn't need the up button? Yeah, I was wrong. I did need it in this one single instance.
Do I have to press a button?
Which dawned on me right here.
Oh my god, I need the up arrow key. You gotta be kidding me.
So I stopped playing and thought about what to do. I didn't really want to have to come up with some other unique face or head movement, as my controls were honestly pretty clunky already. So I had an idea. Instead of coming up with a new movement, I could just route the up key and jumping to the same motion, so that every time that I tilted my head up, both the A button, which is jumping, and the up button would get pressed at the same time. Pressing the up button has no impact on jumping or other directional movements while you play, so this solved my issue and didn't make things too difficult. Although, now I had to beat the level again, which I wasn't too thrilled about, but I was still able to get it done.
Oh, I did it!
I climbed the vine and made it to the final warp zone of the challenge. Next stop, level 8-1.
Let's go! Okay, I'm saving him.
You know how I thought 4-1 was a tough level? Well, if I'm being honest, 8-1 makes that look like a little kid's game. This level has several challenging components. Throughout the level, there are clusters of enemies everywhere, some of which are new, like these black turtles which are resistant to fireballs, and these turtles with wings. Towards the end of the level, there's long jumps with enemies right at the other side of your jump. There's jumps that require extreme precision, like this one that has one little tiny island that you have to land on and jump off of within a couple frames. And then finally, you have to make this series of jumps. To top it off, as if all these elements weren't challenging enough, this level is way physically longer than any other level. And you get a shorter time to complete it. This level is hard. Even playing it with an actual controller, this level is hard. I figured that out pretty quickly. But I gave it my best.
Ah! Oh wow, that's gonna be hard.
After a few hours, I had to do something different, because it was clear that I wasn't going to be beating the level the way that I was playing it right now. And my solution was weirdly simple. To this point, my least consistent and efficient mechanic had been jumping. It usually failed due to me not tilting my head high enough or releasing my jump at the wrong time. So I tried just flipping my up and down movements and buttons, so now looking down would make me jump, and looking up would make me crouch. and the results were honestly astounding. Looking down was just more natural of a movement while keeping your head tilted to one side, and I didn't feel like I had to stretch my neck so much. And I could keep my eyes on the screen easier so I could see exactly when I needed to release my jump. Within just a couple of minutes, I was leagues ahead of where I was due to consistency improvements. Okay, that's so much easier. Oh my lord. Why didn't I do this earlier? With my new tactic, I embarked on what would be the most tedious and mind-numbing section of this entire challenge. The more I played, the further and further into the level I was able to reach. Oh! I was doing so good though! I was doing so good. This is the furthest I think I made it. Oh! Ah! I also kept finding new ways to save bits of time by sprinting on and off throughout small sections. And as the day wore on and faded into night, I started to have breakthrough runs. I was getting pretty close to calling it a day when I had this run right here. Getting this far gave me a little confidence boost, which slowly dissipated over the next hour. And then, right before I was about to head to bed, I had the run of a lifetime. Let's go! Let's go! It is 12:15 a.m., but let's go! I gotta save, Whoa, 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 whoa. Save state. So far, level 8-1 was the only level that made me genuinely consider quitting this challenge. It took me right around 10 hours of gameplay to beat it. After my conquest was complete, I slept soundly, and woke up the next day with confidence unwavering, and with strep throat. And after getting some amoxicillin, ibuprofen, and caffeine coursing through my veins, I got straight back to work. After beating 8-1, I honestly thought that 8-2 would be kinda easy. It's a shorter level, and now I've got my jumping pretty dialed in. How difficult could another level really be? The answer? Very difficult. This level brings back Lakitu at the start of the level, and then quickly sends you off to an area where you have to weave your way in and out of enemies, all while dodging bullet bills. If you're lucky enough to make it through the mayhem to this point, then you have to make this jump right here, where you first need to jump from the top of a pipe to this 1 block wide platform, and then long jump off of it to the other side. This jump sucks. Then you have another couple encounters with more bullet dodging until you make it to the final series of jumps. But there's one new thing that makes this level especially difficult: RNG, or variability in the level. In the previous levels that I had played, everything runs the same every time you go through a level. The enemies all have the same movements, and are always in the same spots. Everything spawns in the same way, and the way that you counter this is by learning patterns and timing to get through sections of the levels. But here, that's not the case. For example, sometimes this Koopa towards the start of the level will spawn in a slightly different location and will clip you if you run under it, and sometimes you'll run by it just fine. And these two Koopas will spawn and turn different directions pretty often. And then once you enter the middle of the level, the bullet bills will always shoot differently, so you have to dodge these with reactions. Because of all this randomness, I had around 75% of my runs where I would take damage before even making it here. But all I could do was continue pushing forth, run after run after run. And eventually, after a couple of days, I was starting to feel relatively comfortable with making it through the start of the level, and dodging my way through the bullet section. Which brings us to the tricky jump, and if I'm being honest, I never really mastered this jump, no matter how many times I played the level. The best that I got was landing it around 10% of the time. If I was lucky enough to land my jump, usually my runs ended somewhere in this section, as you have to be pretty precise in your jumps to make it beyond this bill blaster. Until one fateful Thursday afternoon, where I had this run. I started pretty smoothly, cruising through the start of the level, making my way to the bullet section. And then I carefully bobbed and weaved my way to the jump. I ducked and scooted my way past this death trap, and and made it to the final series of jumps, where I had died several times already on previous runs. Oh, thank God. Oh man, it's about time. And just like that, a sense of relief washed over my body. I was one step closer and 2 levels away from achieving my ultimate goal. Oh, I'm so happy. But I wasn't done yet with the day, and so I pushed on into 8-3. The only challenge in my opinion in 8-3 are these hammer bros, who jump around sporadically and chuck hammers at you. But one great thing for me is you can just shoot them with a fireball, so they're really not that tough to beat. And about 90% of this level is just various ways of positioning these guys on the map. So within about 10 minutes of experimenting and playing the level, I was able to make it to the end pretty consistently. The last few jumps were a little troublesome, but with enough attempts, I was able to climb them and grab the end of level pole. Let's go! Oh, let's go. All in all, this level took me about 30 minutes to beat, whereas the previous 2 levels had taken me well over a week. With 8-3 behind me, I was all set up to tackle the final level. After a journey that felt as taxing as hiking from Bag End to Mordor, I had finally arrived at Bowser's castle, and I was swiftly met with a series of puzzles. The castle itself is a loop, so if you keep running through the level, you'll just go in circles. So the way to advance further is to find the correct pipe to warp through. If you go through the wrong pipe, you'll be sent back to the start of the area that you're in. Through a bit of trial and error, I was able to identify the proper path forward to this underwater area. Within this segment of the level, you have to swim and avoid a series of spinning fire bars, all while being hunted by bloopers. With the physics of water being different than any other part of the game, it honestly was pretty tough to get through this section without taking damage. But that's not to worry, as oftentimes I had made it to this point unscathed. So eventually, with enough attempts, I made it through to the other side. I was one final jump away from reaching Bowser and saving Princess Peach. I thought back to how I had gotten to this point in the challenge. No! Oh, I was there. I didn't make it on my first try. So I went back to reconquer what I had once taken. And soon enough, I was back. No! You gotta be kidding me. But I tried again. And again, and again, and again. Why? Until I finally did make it. But then I died to damage to Bowser. But eventually I made it again. And this time, I'll let you watch the rest. Let's go! Oh! Let's go! Oh, I'm finally done. Oh. Oh my lord. Finally. So, back to the question that birthed the idea for this video. Is it possible to beat Super Mario Bros. Using only your face? Yes. If you spend all of your free time for a month and add rules to help yourself out, then yes, it is possible. But after doing all this, I think there's a more important question to be asked. Is it worth your time to beat Super Mario Bros. Using only your face? No! I went back and tallied up the length of my recordings for only the time that I actually played the game, not counting the time it took me to set up the coding. And it took me over 45 hours to beat this stupid game. Think of what you can do with that time. You can literally drive all the way across the US, from Los Angeles to Maine. I mean, if you take the route with tolls, but still, on top of that, I'm recording this a couple weeks after I beat the game, and I still feel like my neck is messed up. So all in all, I do not recommend anyone does this. Okay, I'm done ranting. I know I just got done bagging on this, but I really did enjoy the process of making this video and trying new things and pushing the limits on what I thought was possible. I plan on making similar styles of content on this channel, so if you enjoyed, follow along. I'll be putting out new videos every couple of weeks. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.